Welcome back to the Entrepreneur's Blueprint. I'm your host, Courtney Cook, and today I have Amy Kavanaugh with us, who is the Chief Operating Officer, better known as the Jill of all trades, for GoodKind, an organization that helps people cultivate the good kind of habits and holiday celebrations. In her role, Amy helps lead day-to-day operations and brings new ideas to life, ensuring that GoodKind's products, content, and customer experience all work together to serve families well. For Amy, it's all about bringing her ministry and seminary experience together to meet people where they're at in their spiritual journey. Whether it's through a podcast recording or tangible products at home, Amy loves creating practical tools and solutions to help families grow in their spiritual habits. Amy is a nearly lifelong Cary, North Carolina resident where she lives with her husband, Ethan, and 5-year-old daughter, Ella. Welcome to the podcast, Amy. I'm excited you're here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Courtney. I'm so excited to chat with you today.
Cool. Well, can you just kick us off by what brought you to GoodKind as the COO?
Yeah, so that is a great question. I was really happy in my role working at our local church where we had attended for several years. I held various roles related to communications, digital strategy, creative development, project management. But some friends of mine who were also pastors and working at the church said, "Hey, we have this idea for this thing called Advent blocks." And I was like, "Okay, what is that? Tell me more. What are you doing with random wood scraps in the trunk of your car in the church parking lot?" And they said, "Well, here's how it works. It's a 25-day Advent devotional with wooden blocks to help count down towards Christmas, all anchored around this family devotional guide that you read together each day during the month of December." And they showed me how it works. And they said, "Oh, and by the way, we accidentally sold 500 of them last Christmas. And we're working with a manufacturer now, and we have 5,000 of them. And we're trying to sell them all, and we need some help."
Wow.
They said, "Can you kind of help us with some customer service this year?"
Okay.
And I was like, "Sure, I can help you with that. Like, give me the login details for your email, and I will help people make sure they have their blocks." That first year was really scrappy. There were some major issues that happened. Some of our blocks did not arrive on time.
Oh, no.
That was issue number one.
Mhm.
It was 2020. Everybody was, in the middle of the pandemic. That was issue number two. Issue number three, some of the books were misprinted. So we had to figure out, how to get some more and a new distribution plan. So it was a lot of things like that. And I said, "You know what? This is crazy and chaotic, but it's actually also really fun."
Yeah.
And so I transitioned into a full-time role supporting the day-to-day operations of not just Advent blocks towards the end of the year, but also developing new products and kind of just managing how we're going to get those new products created and how they're going to get them to people's doorsteps, everything in between. So it's been kind of history from there. I've been able to grow along with GoodKind as the business has grown, and it has just been such a great opportunity and such fun.
That's awesome. So the first product was the Advent blocks.
Mm-hmm.
And then what was after that? What's your product assortment look like today?
Yeah, so we started with Advent blocks, and it was a really natural progression to say, hey, Easter ought to be at least as important as Christmas in how we celebrate with our families. And so we made Easter blocks next, which was pretty much a variation of the Advent blocks, but condensed down into 8 days for Holy Week. So Palm Sunday
cool.
to Easter Sunday. So a little bit is actually one of my favorite products. I just love the way that it's written, and it's a really nice entry point because anybody can accomplish something for 8 days. You can get it done, and it's a really great entry point to our products. And then after that, we made a Sabbath box to help families slow down and enjoy God and one another on the weekends. And then we made Gratitude and Sticky Prayers around the same time. And Gratitude is very quickly rising in the ranks and competing with the Advent blocks for our most popular product.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's been a lot of fun. That one is a 12-sided. We had to look up the name. It is a dodecahedron. Dodecahedron. Okay. For a minute, when we were coming up with a product name, we considered calling it the Thank-a-Hecahedron.
I
But
love it.
we went with the Gratitude,
It's
and you
cute.
just roll it, and it has 12 different prompts, categories to express your gratitude toward God or those around you. So it's a really fun little tool to keep on the dinner table or keep on your bedside table, and help kids and grown-ups kind of think outside the box in terms of what they're grateful for. So those are our main products. The 5 primary SKUs are what we have to offer, and then we have some supporting devotional books that go along with them.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's the what was the name? It sounded like a dinosaur name to me.
The
The
dodecahedron. Yeah.
yes, yes. Like, is it
Dinosaur,
a dinosaur?
Pokemon, something like that.
Yes. Like, what is it? That's amazing. That's so cool though that now the cube is really trying to vie for that number one spot. How cool is that? And probably unexpected too, of like, can
Mhm.
something ever reach the ranks of the advent blocks? That's awesome.
I know. Yeah. It's been a little bit of a surprise just how quickly that has taken off, but it's fun. Sometimes you just need a really simple tool
Yeah.
to help you get it done. And
It
that's what
takes
Gratitude does.
Right. It takes no space at all to just have it sitting
Hmm.
on your table. Really, really simple, easy. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. So, in
Yeah.
prepping for this conversation, you said that people constantly ask you to make more stuff. More, we want
Yes.
more from you guys, but you're meticulous about what you actually produce. So, walk me through what that vetting process actually looks like before something gets made at scale.
Yes. So that is one of the more zany but more fun parts of my job
Yeah.
is they'll say, "Hey Amy, we're trying to figure out how to make prayer chips or a kind of like a gumball machine but with prayer prompts." Or
Yeah.
Amy, we think we want to do like a fidget spinner that helps kids learn how to pray. We've been trying to figure out a prayer resource for a long time now.
Yeah.
And they'll say, "Hey, our founders, Chris and Clayton, will kind of chime in and go, I think it should look like this, or maybe it should function like this." But what we workshop together, the three of us, is does it have a click? Um, Something that is a little bit satisfying. So you
Mm,
turn a block and you know, okay, I've done it. There's a
yeah.
little bit of a physical proof that shows I have done the thing for today. So it has to have that click that kind of scratches the itch that says, I've done it. And
Yeah.
there's a start and a finish. It has to be beautiful so that it can have a place in the home, whether that's sitting on the kitchen table, up on the mantle, in the bedroom. We don't want it to go in a cabinet. So it has to be
Yeah.
beautiful enough that it's going to be on display. And then it has to be something that people come back to over and over and over again. We do not want to make any more single use stuff. There's a ton of it out there.
Hmm.
And, Oriental trading has been serving children's ministries very well for a very long time.
Yeah.
But we don't want to be that. We want to make
Right.
something that's beautiful, something that's going to last, that families are going to keep coming back to, and that really is rewarding. So
Hmm.
we've had a ton of products that we have tested. I have walked up and down the shelves of Hobby Lobby trying to figure out how to craft something that would one day be a prototype of something that we would put on the website. And that is kind of what happened with the Gratacube. We went through the same process. We landed on, the actual dodecahedron that we use now. And after our team goes, yeah, I think there's something here. And then we kind of broaden the net a little bit and we say, hey,
Mm,
give 3 of these to your friends and family. Try it with
nice.
older kids, try it with younger kids, try it in a Sunday school with only adults and see what happens, report back. And then we kind of move into, all right, what makes sense financially, logistically, what can we kind of add in? But the biggest step and the thing that we spend the most time on in development is just really making sure that the thing works. We could
Yeah.
make a beautiful wall hanging that you hang up, but then becomes just background noise in your life. And we don't want to do that. There are a lot of great companies doing that out there already. We're not claiming to be the best designers or the best trendsetters, but we want to make products that really, really will deliver what we promise, which is that we're going to help shape your spiritual habits in your home.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the lens that we think through.
Yeah. That's super helpful. You're in a product based business where there is a tension, a real tension that everybody I think experiences between we need to move fast and sell this
Mhm.
because, we got to keep cash flow moving, but we also need to make sure that it's right. It's the right product for the consumer. So how
Yeah.
do you guys kind of hold that line operationally when there is a pressure to drive revenue?
Yeah, definitely. It's It's a balance for sure. I think as we've grown, we laugh a lot, quite honestly, saying like everybody says not to start a highly seasonal business. Everybody
Yeah.
says not to start a product like inventory based business. And what did we do? We went out and we started
You
a
did
highly
both.
seasonal inventory based business
Yeah.
in
Yep.
the middle of a pandemic. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we have felt a lot of that tension. We have felt a lot of push to say, larger brands have come and said, you just need more SKUs, you just need to sell more products. But what we've found is that our customers are really, really loyal to us
Mm-hmm.
because they've learned that we're not just going to put stuff out if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Our products, we want to change people's lives with the product, even if it's as simple as a little dodecahedron,
Yeah.
even if it's just a Graticube. And so, what we have really been leaning into is just the trust that we've built up with our customers to say, hey, if you know what we're committed to, and you love us because we're not just putting random stuff out there. And so,
Yeah.
please share us with your friend. And, we've seen so much love and we're so grateful just that our customers are so loyal that they come back to us and they share us with their friends and then they share us with their church. And
Mm-hmm.
then that is that word of mouth, just it's like a grassroots movement, to be quite honest. And that's, I mean, it's the best success that we've had is just the word of mouth, people saying, hey, I trust these people because this is what this did for my kid.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, it's become a core value to us that that trust we build with the consumer is going to be the success of the brand one way or another.
Yeah, that's so powerful. I have seen that myself as a mom of when we bring this particular study or this Advent study or something home, and then I see the way my child answers these questions of like the ways we have poured into her, through a classical
Mm-hmm.
education and going to a Christian private school, all those things, it pays off. And so
Yeah.
when you're creating a product and you see the change in these people's lives and their children's lives, and they're just like, yes, I trust you. That is, I'm sure for your customers, just such a breath of fresh air of we can trust these guys. We
Mm-hmm.
can trust what they're going to create. And it's a no-brainer for me to make this purchase because I know my children and our family is going to benefit so much from it.
Yeah.
So that's so powerful. And you brought up the fact that customers are also telling their churches about it. So can you tell me
Mm-hmm.
more about your church program and how that came together?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we started from the local church. Our founders and I were, working together in ministry. And
Okay,
one of our
cool.
founders, Clayton, actually leads a church planning network.
Oh, wow.
And so, just resourcing the local church has always been front of mind for all of us involved with GoodKind. And so, almost as quickly as we were thinking, hey, this would be such a great resource for families, not just a resource for, like our small group and our friends in our church. But pretty much immediately after we started thinking, hey, how can we distribute this thing on a larger scale?
Yeah.
We thought we have to have a way that we can get this to churches too. And
Hmm.
so, coming from the church world, we know the budgets for what a church has to spend on an individual family might look a lot different than what an individual family will go out and purchase on their own. So we ended up making smaller versions of our Advent blocks and our Easter blocks. The
Oh,
same
cool.
content, functions exactly the same, but a little bit of a lower cost alternative so that we can go to churches and say, hey, we have a very easy way for you to engage all of the families in your church this season. Sometimes we say it's like VBS. When you say
Hmm.
VBS, there's going to be big programming. It's going to be all about the families. There's going to be some take home things. We say we want to be like VBS for Christmas.
Yeah.
Um, and we can. And so it's an all in one kit. You don't have to do anything. You just have to distribute it to your families. We give them our wholesale discount because we want to treat them better than we can anyone
Hmm.
else. We want to support pastors and church leaders no matter the size and scale of their church. So we treat them like our wholesale partners. We give them a discount and we give them tons of free resources as well. So we have a Sunday morning kids curriculum that the leaders can use that aligns with the
Mm.
Sunday readings that families are doing at home. We have a sermon series guide that does the same thing, daily coloring pages. We have a worship song with motion graphics. And so it's just, we really want it to be a gift, not just to the families who are receiving the product, but also to the church leaders who say, hey, I can invest in this, but it's a one-time thing and it's going to serve my families for years and years to come.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to send an email after this to a couple people in our church that I'm like, that is so cool. The whole package, including motion graphics with your slide, like everything. That is incredible. I didn't realize how robust it was. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
thanks. Yeah, let them know. They can join us anytime.
Yeah. Hey, I want to pause here for just a second. If what you're hearing today is hitting close to home, if you're recognizing your business in these patterns, I want you to know that it's not a coincidence. This is exactly the work I do with founders. I work with business owners who know something needs to change but haven't had the right person in their corner to help them build it. If that sounds like where you are, there's an inquiry form linked in the show notes. It takes about 3 minutes. Tell me where you are, what's not working, and what you're trying to build, and we'll find time to talk. Okay, let's keep going. So, what's the operational reality of running a wholesale adjacent program at your size? Because you now have separate SKUs, right? And you're forecasting a completely different subset of demand that also has its, own lead time that I'm sure is not short. So, how do you
Yeah.
make all of that work and how do you juggle that?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a lot of guess and check, to be quite
Yeah.
honest with you. We've been doing this for several years now, so we have gotten better at predicting, making those projections and saying, okay, I assume we're going to do similar scale promotion and advertising. And so we can assume, this many sales over this amount of time. Like we can kind of dial that in a
Yeah.
little bit better now than we could have
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning. But at the same time, it's really hard. We have done a lot of advertising, on meta ads and
Mm-hmm.
Facebook and Instagram. And it's really interesting because we're not necessarily targeting church leaders through those ads, but a lot of church leaders see those ads because they're also parents,
Yeah.
because they have interest in those products
Mm-hmm.
anyways, apart from their role in the church. So it's
Mm-hmm.
always interesting to see where orders come from and how people learn about us.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the first couple of years, we took a lot of pre-orders. We still do some pre-orders if we're in development for a new product. But otherwise, we'll place a big order in November for Easter and
Mm-hmm.
then May for Advent. And
Yep.
then we kind of keep Gratitude going in between. Um,
Nice.
and those are kind of our primary recurring orders that we have. And so it really is just a little bit of hey, what did we do last year?
Yeah.
What do we think we can reasonably do this year?
Yep.
And then, like I said, a little guess and check still. So we're continuing to try to dial that in and make more accurate predictions. But there's a lot of market factors that we don't always know ahead of time. And I think any kind of inventory based business the past year or so has had some ups and downs with tariffs and just changes to lead times and
Mm-hmm.
just factors globally that we can't really predict. So we
Yeah.
make adjustments as necessary. And if we sell out of inventory, we praise God. And if we have inventory left over for the next year, we praise God and we try to figure out a way to work through it at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. So we've had all sorts of ups and downs along the way, but yeah, time is so valuable.
It
Everybody
is.
says hindsight is 2020, but there's a lot of truth to it, and
There is.
you get better as you go. So we're learning as we go.
Yeah, I have come across more businesses that I am shocked they don't take their like promotional calendar from last year and just copy paste it to this year, make some
Mm-hmm.
adjustments. It's like they're reinventing the wheel, but
Yeah.
actually that makes your life harder because then you really don't know how to forecast. So you
Mm-hmm.
guys are, I mean, maybe that's the plus of having such a seasonal business is you aren't going to probably change your promotional calendar a whole lot, right? Like for the most part, you have your big months where you have to focus in and what tactics you're running. But it's a surprising amount where it's not just a copy paste. What did we do last year? And let's start there. So
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
awesome.
Yeah, it's It's an interesting thing. So, I mean, I think there's actually a lot of similarities to working in ministry where you
Yeah.
have that very seasonal schedule, which was
Yep.
a really it was a gift when I transitioned into this role.
I
But I was
bet.
already thinking of, okay, we know Easter's coming. The date might change, but we know
Yeah.
generally to expect it. It's not going to be a surprise. And we know that we're going to celebrate Christmas at the end of December. And,
Yep.
it's funny because I think a lot of just different businesses don't necessarily operate that way. And so it has kind of simplified things for us. What can be a challenge of being stuck in a seasonal business is also a gift when it comes to planning, because it
Yeah.
does kind of take a little bit of the guesswork out.
Yep. You know when you're going to place your orders. And sometimes that's a hard question to answer.
Yeah.
so, so what does the path look like for growing just your wholesale business versus your direct to consumer business? How are you guys looking at those two things right now?
Yeah, it's interesting. So, our church program does really well for us, and we are so grateful that we're able to do it. But the church wholesale program is not a true wholesale program. So we've, been trying to figure out some ways. How do we expand more? How do we take these products to trade?
Yeah.
And do we actually want to do that versus
Hmm.
does it make more sense for us to just live as a direct consumer brand? And so we're actually, in the middle of trying to answer a lot of those questions in real time. Our wholesale system at this point is less of a system and more of a kind of luck of the draw. We'll chase a couple leads and see where they
Hmm.
go. And then a couple people might come to us and we'll see how we can accommodate, and if we can accommodate. And that's the hardest thing right now for us is, we've figured out how to predict, how to forecast for direct to consumer. Forecasting for wholesale is a whole different can of
Hmm.
worms.
Yeah.
And so we would love to see that growth happen. But I think at this point, we're trying to figure out, is there a little bit of a way that we can mitigate risk by partnering with somebody who already has the channel to market? And so we're pursuing a lot of those conversations right now, trying to figure out, hey, how can we really slow down and make sure that if we're going to do this, we're going to do this right.
Hmm.
We've had a lot of success with our guess and check methods. And it's not that there hasn't been strategy and like really thoughtful conversations along the way, because I think there has been. But a wholesale strategy is something that we want to get right if we're going to do it, because we don't want to sacrifice the quality of our products.
Hmm.
We don't want to sacrifice our margins too much. We need to keep this thing going,
Yeah.
not just get products out into the world, which we'd love to do. But yeah, that's something that we're trying to really take our time with so that when we start to make that play, we're really confident that we're going the right direction at the right time.
Yeah. It's such a balance, and every business is different on their appetite for wholesale and what
Mm-hmm.
like does the potential and increased volume really reduce the cost of product at the end of the day
Yeah,
enough to justify it. And
exactly.
it's a hard decision and it's unique to everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it. Ugh. So you're building also a content arm to your business as well. And I'm seeing this more and more, and I love it, where in retail, like you can't just go about your business by selling products. There has to be this
Mm-hmm.
huge content arm where you're truly filling people, you're teaching them, you're educating them. They're wanting to be engaged with your brand, not just because of your products, but because of your
Right.
content.
Yeah.
So what has been driving that shift? Like where have you guys seen that that's played a big role for your business every day?
Yeah, so we would love right now, it's kind of an interesting funnel that we have going. A lot of people learn about a product, usually through an ad or through their church or as a church leader at a conference, something like that. They'll learn about the products, usually Advent blocks, and they will visit our website, they'll join our newsletter list, they enter the funnel because of a product. But then what we really want is to keep them engaged, whether they buy that product initially or not. We want to be able to foster not just the things that they're doing at home in terms of their faith and their spiritual habits, but really the way that they're thinking about them
Mm,
too. Um, So, some people will find us because they're adamant that they want to find a family devotional guide and they really, really want that biblical Christian content to help them focus on Jesus, not just the presents at Christmas.
Yeah.
Some people will buy it just because it's pretty.
Yeah.
And they want to put it up on their mantle. It's a fun thing for the kids to do. And we really welcome and encourage both of those customers. We want to meet them where they're at. And the podcast and our blog, emails that we send, all of that, we want to be nurturing them towards having more spiritual habits in their life that they're practicing as a family, and just shaping the way that they think about engaging with God and one another. That it's not always these big, huge mountaintop experiences, right? It's not just sending the kids to Christian camp, or it's not just Christmas Eve service, but it is the small habits, the gratitude that you're expressing at the dinner table and the way that you approach Bible reading in different seasons that really makes an impact on your family's faith and the way that you experience faith together. And so we really want the content arm of things to help, move people through the funnel in a different way, and kind of just keep the engagement going, not just at holidays, but throughout the year too. So one of the things we hear from people all the time is Advent blocks changed the way my family thinks about Christmas. It really does. We hear it over and over. And yeah, we're so grateful that that's true. But what we've done for a lot of our other products and a lot of what we end up talking about on the podcast is, why does Advent blocks work? Why do the products work? And we really try to reverse engineer the process to show that you can apply these principles to anything. That really, when we're trying to practice our faith, especially with kids, so often we set the bar way too high for what success looks like. We really need to lower the bar for spiritual practices so that anybody can do it, so that you can accomplish your goals, that you can invite even a child to do it with you, that you can do it in community with other people. Say, hey, we're going for a prayer walk at lunchtime this Monday. Come with us. And then how can you make it repeatable so that it's not just something that you do once, but something that really folds into the fabric of your everyday life. And so that's where the content side of things has really kind of married with the products. And we've just had so much fun making the content side of things too. And so, yeah, it's all about habits and holidays. Right now, our products skew a little bit more towards the holidays, and the content is a little bit more toward your everyday habits. But ideally, we love to see our customers, our listeners, kind of marrying those concepts together. That's kind of our goal with it all.
Yeah, just in the way you're furthering the kingdom with that, planting new seeds of faith that they weren't thinking about. Oh, it's not just a one time a year activity. Let's let this live and show our children day in and day out how we live and how we follow Jesus. I think that's really special.
Yeah, thanks.
So you have a team of 4, is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. There's 4 of us. But we're small, but we are scrappy.
Yeah, you have to be. You have to be. I love that. Is there any, how do you manage then adding content on top of such a lean team?
Yeah, that's, that it's funny to think about because most people probably just think that we're nuts.
Yeah.
So thankfully, we've been able to partner with the church that I used to work at and where our founders work as well. And so they have allowed us, to use some of their recording space and some of their recording equipment for the podcast, which helped us, kind of build the pieces for what we were doing and say, all right, we have all this stuff. We just need ourselves and a little bit of time. And so it's a lot of the podcast and content side of things, we're just kind of squeezing in on our own. That's been a little bit more of a hobby that we've tried to make a little bit more official as we've gone along. But we are big in the throw it at the wall and see what sticks or approach, or the build the plane as you fly it. Whatever metaphor you want to pick, we are all about experimenting and seeing what works. And thankfully, we're just all really excited about trying to see where GoodKind can go, that it's been not necessarily a burden or a strain to add that in,
Yeah.
but really life-giving just to be together in the same space, to have a conversation. A lot of the conversations were conversations we were already having. We just decided, hey,
Yeah.
let's put a
Put a
microphone
mic
in
on.
front of us and share the conversation with some friends.
Yes, other people want to hear that too, and it makes you
Yeah.
more real. It makes you just much more approachable for people too. So we're all thinking similar thoughts, I'm sure, in general. So
Yeah, everybody wants a peek behind the curtain of
yeah,
whatever it is, We
let's
like we
we
like
like
to
to be
see the behind the scenes.
yeah, let's be a little nosy. It's kind of fun. So has there been a moment where your values were the actual deciding factor in a business decision?
Oh yeah. Probably more times than I can count.
Yeah, I
um,
bet. I
to be
bet.
honest. But I think one of the big things that comes to mind is, we came really close to producing a product that I actually mentioned earlier, prayer chips, and another
Mhm.
one called the catechism, or the catechism. It's a catechism that we were designing to be used in the
Mm.
car. So on the way to school,
Oh, cool.
on the way to dance class, soccer, whatever. Just this set of 7 questions, call and response. The parent leads and the kid responds. Just kind of solidifying our identity in Christ as believers and what it is that God wants us to go out and do in the world. And so we love the content for prayer chips as well. We love the content. We felt like we had a really great devotional tool in the works. But even though we had people asking and we had an ability to produce the thing, we had the whole system ready to push go and mass produce the products and put them on the website. We did not.
Yeah.
We did not feel like there were resources that people would come back to.
Mhm.
We felt like they were really leaning more towards a single use thing or
Yeah.
even something that a family could make on their own.
Yep.
And so there are a ton of really talented Pinterest moms out in the world. And we kind of had to step back and say, like, maybe we'll let them have this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe the popsicle sticks are the way to go for a prayer
Mhm.
prompt. Maybe the beach ball is all that is really needed right now. Maybe they don't need a $50 product to contribute to their car and the
Yeah.
mess that there is. And so both of those were really, tough decisions because I think they were products that we really wanted in our own lives.
Mhm.
Um, and they were things that, again, we could have very easily put on the website and
Yeah.
I think they would have sold. And so, as a business decision, it probably made sense, except for when we started coming back to our values about how do we build trust with this customer? Is this product really going to do what we think it's going to do? Is it going to have the longevity that our customers come to expect from
Mhm.
us? And is it going to have a place in their life, not just for a couple weeks, but really for several years?
Mhm.
Um, and when we came back and, we're all shaking our heads no, going, I don't think we can do it. That was something that we had to kind of set on the shelf in faith and say,
Mhm.
maybe there is a time that we can come back to this. And this just isn't, it's not quite ready. And so being able to just kind of lean into our values to say no or to say not right now has been really difficult, but it's also I don't know, been really rewarding also to know that um, when we say these things, we mean them. And
Yeah.
as a Christian brand, that's integral to who we are. So just being able to have the confidence, that we can trust one another and trust God in these decisions has been just a really cool, like fruitful experience to be part of. I think for all of us personally.
Yeah, having the discipline to make that kind of decision and to really live out those values is not as easy as maybe even you make it sound. Like it is really
Yeah.
hard. So I can only imagine how kind of gut wrenching it was to have to put that project or those 2 projects on the shelf when you're like, oh, they probably would sell. You're right, but it doesn't live into that value of creating trust and ensuring that this will live on forever and ever
Mm-hmm.
and outlive us, right? And be passed down generation to generation. That takes a lot of discipline to make a decision like that. So
Yeah.
kudos to you guys for sure.
Yeah. Thanks.
So where can people find you, Amy, and GoodKind, and how can they get their hands on your products?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram primarily at Amy E. Kav, Amy E. Cav. And you can find GoodKind anywhere on social media at goodkind.co. You can buy our products through a link in our bio on Instagram, or you can visit www.goodkind.shop.
Awesome. And I will link it in the show notes to make it easy for everyone. So,
Yeah.
well, Amy, thank you so much for your time. It was such a joy to talk to you. And I'm just grateful that you would share your wisdom with my listeners and with me. I really appreciate it. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Courtney.